We're live. It is Saturday evening, June 14th, 2025. This is shaping up, folks, to be a very, very, very busy evening of all times on a Saturday night, no less. We're, of course, here on the West Coast. I'm Rich Lieberman. This is the Rich Lieberman Media Pulse. And of course, we talk mostly about San Francisco Bay Area media, TV, radio, internet, etc. Stream. Tonight, on this very, very special, in some cases, Saturday, we're right near the beginning of summer, and it figures to be a busy night and sometimes more than just celebration, but downright incidents, lots of tense situations taking place, an abundance of news uh, on this Saturday. Saturday taking place in the nation's capital, where they're having a celebration, a parade, if you will, of the Army hardware. That's tanks and fighter pilots in airplanes, fighter jets. You can see in the background on CNN President Trump, who happens to be celebrating, I think, his birthday on Saturday, the 14th. He's 79. Critics have discussed that Trump, although he's denied this, that he coincided the celebration of the Army's 250th birthday with his own, or excuse me, of the Army's 250th anniversary with his own birthday. Had to think that over. And there's a lot going on, trust me, if you didn't already know. So, as I always say, to be fair, and I do this all the time anyway, I've been monitoring various outlets, CNN, of which I have on now, MSNBC, and yes, Fox. Interestingly enough, Fox has devoted its main coverage to the Army parade taking place in Washington, D.C., as has MSNBC. CNN has done a fairly decent job of doing what it does best, and that is covering live events and being able to zip around to go to other locations. Literally overseas in the Middle East, we have more escalating tensions with Israel and Tehran, Iran, where Israel, of course, hit a number of targets in Iran a couple of days ago and is now seen missiles from Iran that have made its way, some of them, most of them have been shot down by the vaunted Iron Dome anti-missile capabilities to hit Tel Aviv, which is the most populated city in Israel. You got that taking place. You have the Washington situation with the military parade. And on top of that, you have demonstrations that are taking place across the United States, almost 2,000 cities, including the hotbed, and has been now for nearly a week, over a week, Los Angeles, near the Civic Center area, the City Hall, and the police department headquarters. And you have the ICE detention facility in that area of downtown Los Angeles. We also have, as I indicated, Trump speaking, and they've gone back and forth between that. So there's a lot going on. Haven't even mentioned what took place tragically in Minnesota, where one state legislator, a woman, and her husband were assassinated, killed, shot by, looks like, a former political appointee of the governor. And so you have that taking place, I mentioned. This is a very, very fluid night in America. I, as I've said, monitoring the situation left and right. And I've tried to um, be objective. What other way can you be? I don't think anybody has any kind of definitive, axe to grind. Some people are opposed. Some people are rather euphoric that we have the celebration parade, no longer a parade, it's now more of a celebration in Washington, D.C. You also have what is happening in Los Angeles. Now, without being there, we can only take the accounts provided by the correspondents on CNN. Also, New York City seemed to be the hotbed of what's happening, the flashpoint, if you will. Seems to be a lot more tense in Los Angeles than it is in New York. LA, you have upwards, they say, estimate of about 25,000 or so people who are protesting. And this is being dubbed the No Kings demonstration, the No Kings in describing what some have called Trump and his ability to act like a king, they say. But Trump has said, nah, I'm not a king. But they are watching that. And there are, as I said, almost 2,000 cities. There were demonstrations, including San Francisco here, Oakland, and of course, San Jose. Um, this will present an interesting evening. And I say interesting because in LA, they've already had massive flashpoints go off. And as it gets closer, we're now a few hours away from nightfall. You have the fact that it's a weekend, it's a Saturday night. Weather is a little bit warmer than it has been in Southern California. And one pundit on CNN saying, a former police officer and a former law enforcement official saying that it could be what they called a long night for law enforcement in Los Angeles because precursors like flashbangs, tear gas being shot out. Now, let's remember, I'm not trying to take sides here, so please, trying to be accurate and objective. This is a very small part of Los Angeles. LA is roughly 500 square miles. This is the downtown area where all the federal buildings are located, including the court buildings. You have the city hall, you have the ICE detention center, and you have various government buildings. So that's all within a perimeter of about 4 to 5 city blocks. And you have the concentration of the protest taking place in that part of downtown Los Angeles. You combine that No Kings protest with the ongoing protesters' distaste with the ICE, the immigration customs execs. I don't know if it's the execs, immigration and customs continuing tactics, not only in Los Angeles, but across the country. So you have the juxtaposition of those events, and it's getting towards nightfall. Typically, when the so called black ops, the people who have really no feelings whatsoever with regards to what's the ire of the protesters. They just like to cause trouble. And they're the ones who go about their way vandalizing and throwing debris at cops, at setting off smoke bombs, at throwing rocks and water bottles that have been frozen at cops. They're the so called troublemakers, and they've done a ton of damage in Los Angeles and beyond. Some of them, were involved in the fracas that took place near Mission Street in San Francisco the other night. So these guys, some women too, by the way, they like to create anarchy, and they also like to do damage and resulting sometimes in human damage and destruction and injury, and they like chaos. That is their word. They're the ones who were seen above that freeway in LA, the 101, where they were throwing things, hauling big cement blocks towards those police cars and CHP cars. Um, so, in many respects, by the way, I'm surprised that on CNN, we've not seen any of their so called major player like Anderson Cooper. This is a big time event, incident, chaos that you don't see somebody like Anderson Cooper, who, he's paid $18 million a year. I'm sure that they would have liked to have seen him here, or at least if not in LA, in DC. But anyway, that's a side story. So you have a multitude of programs. It's a busy, busy evening on America's airwaves. And I've often marveled at their ability to go from place to place with commentators, their own people. They do this too very effectively. Does CNN is they have the electronic capability, and if you've been watching, you know what I'm talking about, to literally go from one end of not just the country, but of the earth to 10,000, 12,000 miles away, showing the missile projectiles in Tel Aviv and Haifa, Israel, and have commentators and reporters there on the scene. Let's do something sort of what's called analog interactive. So I'm showing you now the celebration, Trump at the forefront, of course. But we're gonna go away from CNN, and well, let's take a litmus test of who's covering whom and what's taking place, and see. Okay, so CNN now is concentrated on the Army celebration in the nation's capital. Let's see if we can go to C or FNC, the Fox News Channel, and see they're covering the situation taking place, the celebration. So we'll kind of expected that, right? So now we're going to go up to, let's see if we can do this right. We're going to go to MSNBC, see what they're covering. Okay, and MSNBC now seems to have moved to, yeah. So this is Ali Velshi in front of the Washington Monument, it appears, covering the protests, the No Kings protest in Washington, D.C., the counter protest to the celebration over where the army is, and Trump making speech after speech with various military people. And you could see the cops are out. You got the Metro Police, you have Washington Police, and all that. So it'd be an interesting to watch various channels. Again, we haven't even mentioned, or I did mention it, but hasn't even been brought out. Main thing going on tonight and into tomorrow, their time, is the ongoing tension with regards to the Middle East. Okay, they're going to a commercial. So we're going to go back to CNN and see what they're doing here too. Okay, so they're showing the military parade, and you can see President Trump and all that. But later on the West Coast, I think LA will be your flashpoint, no pun intended. And you can see the split screens are out and about. And if you have any feedback, if you've watched, maybe you have a comment or something of that nature, you can come to my YouTube, um, leave me a message, or you can go email me at rich.lieberman@gmail.com. If the situation merits and there's some breaking news or it gets more heated, I will try to make it back here in due time so we can discuss the news that makes for a busy, busy Saturday before summertime event and all the news that has transpired this past day in our world. Talk to you soon.